Welcome back to our homestead. I am sharing a few meals that we ate last week on the carnivore diet. If you're new here, I'm Ashley, and my husband Geoff and I have 8 kids that we are raising on a homestead that we have been building for the past 11 years in northern Alberta. We tried the carnivore diet this year to go deeper into our health journey, and as we've been eating this way, we realized it's a diet we can more easily produce in our harsh climate, raising animals for meat, eggs, and milk. Gardening aside, it's been super challenging, and so the carnivore diet has become more than useful as we begin to feel so much better, even coming from a whole food, healthy, organic as possible diet. So I am just going to get right into it and start with this first meal. Cheeseburgers are so easy because we buy them frozen, so we can put them into the freezer and then pull them out later on in the week instead of having a bunch of fresh meat to cook. So we do this a couple of times a week. I'm just sharing what my little baby ate, some eggs and the yogurt and the chopped up burger there. And if you're wondering about the sauce on these, that's just a homemade ketchup. I'll get to that in a second. We cooked our eggs in these Ivleskiver pans. I'm just showing what these are, which is like a Danish pancake pan. We used to make Ivleskivers when we used to eat sourdough. But because we're feeling so good doing carnivore, I don't think we'll ever get back to sourdough. But we wanted to cook the eggs in something different. So we cooked them in those Ivleskiver pans, and it just kind of gave us a little bit of variety on the eggs. And then that homemade ketchup, this year we're new to eating the carnivore diet, so I still have a lot of pantry items like tomato sauce, and we've always made our own ketchup. So we just made some ketchup. I don't want to throw that tomato sauce out, and we put it with our burgers. So that part obviously isn't carnivore. And then I just shared the next day how my daughter prepared these Ivleskiver pans to make those eggs instead of making the sourdough donut type things that we used to do. She's just wiping some tallow on there and then heating them, and then she just pours the egg into the pan and then bakes it a little bit. And it sort of just gives us a little bit of variety from having fried eggs all the time. We try to just do something different with our eggs, like scrambled with cheese, or cooked like this, or fried or poached or boiled, because eggs are really economical for us. We raise them, and when our chickens aren't producing as many, they're still a pretty cost effective thing for us to buy on carnivore. So it's really nice to figure out different ways to cook them because we get super tired of eating them. So I just wanted to share that there. They turned out so great, and I have a little clip coming up here of my daughter taking them out of the pan. And it's always so important with cast iron that it's really well seasoned. And I think animal fat is the best kind of fat to season cast iron. You can just pull those right out, totally non-stick. And then the next night we had our chicken. We do this meal probably once a week, sometimes twice, although some of the kids are kind of getting tired of chicken thighs, but I actually really enjoy them. So we'll do 2 to 5 of these per person. It just depends on which of us is eating it. Like my younger kids can typically only eat 2 before they start to get full, and my older kids will have like 4 to 5. We sometimes add cheese to this, but I know some people don't do dairy on the carnivore diet. We do dairy, um, and actually for this meal, I actually stopped eating cheese with it because I was filling up on the cheese and I wasn't eating the meat. And I really want to try to be eating my meat and my fat first before I go and eat some dairy. So anyway, also what I'll do if I'm feeling ambitious is I will take all the bones from this meal and I will make a really thick gelatinous broth, and I can feed that to my 1-year old, and I can add it to making some carnivore soup. Okay, this next item is not a meal, but it's a little snack that one of my daughters wanted to prepare. My kids really love to cook, and I just wanted to share that we've always been an ingredient household. Um, we're not coming from a processed food diet. We're actually coming from a pretty healthy way of eating. Geoff and I have always prioritized health in the way that we live and we eat and the way that we raise our kids and feed them. So our kids have been involved in the kitchen since they were quite young. And prior to carnivore, my girls love to bake. So cookies, pies, pastries, soups, all those things. And if they miss anything, they really miss making those things. They don't miss so much eating them because we do feel so much better not eating those things. But sometimes my girls just want to get in the kitchen and be creative. I believe my daughter found this really simple, it's like a granola recipe, but it is used as the base for a cheesecake. And I did make a carnivore cheesecake in one of my previous videos. I can try to find it and link it at the end of this video for anyone who might be interested. But some people were saying, oh, but the crust is the best part of the cheesecake. And I agree. So this solves that problem. It kind of tastes like graham cracker crust. And all it is butter and powdered milk. My kids added a little bit of honey to this, and once it was all done, they put it into a bowl with some milk, and it really did taste like granola. We do still grow things in the gardens and in the greenhouse that grow well in our zone. One being Saskatoon berries, strawberries, and then I've got some watermelon in the greenhouse. So I think as those things come into season, the berries especially, my kids will make this carnivore granola and put that on top of it, and I'm totally okay with that. I won't necessarily share the recipe, but I will put a link. I'll ask my daughter about the video that she got this from, and I will link it to this video, or I'll put it in the description of this video. I believe it's from Steak and Butter Gal. I think I already said that. It's actually really good, and it's really simple. If you eat dairy, then it's okay. I know not everyone eats dairy on the carnivore diet, but we do. And milk powder is just like this magical ingredient that you can do so many things with. And a little bit later on, I've got some dinner rolls, and their base is the milk powder as well. So we do keep a lot of milk powder on hand. And these recipes, we'll actually do some shorter videos where it's just the recipe following this video. Okay, so for another night, we had our ground beef night. And originally, we were just eating a lot of ground beef because it's just one of those, cheaper forms of meat. And we were getting tired of it really quickly. So this is a cheese sauce. It's not really a recipe, it's more just about putting things in a blender and then slowly adding in some milk to create this lovely cheese sauce. It kind of makes me think of Velveeta cheese, like melted Velveeta cheese. So with our ground beef bowl, we were getting super tired of the ground beef, so we went back to making this. This is something that we used to make and put on nachos. We would have a nacho night, and since we're removing the chips, we feel so much better. I thought I would really miss nacho night, but I really don't. I love just having a bowl of ground beef with this cheese sauce on it. So if you can tolerate dairy, this is such a great thing to add for variety. And all we're doing is putting in some shredded cheddar cheese. And by the way, I never buy pre-shredded cheese because it's coated in cellulose and some other non-stick agents. So I just buy a big block of cheddar cheese at Costco. We shred it, put it in the blender with a bunch of butter. My daughter also put some salt and pepper in it. And then you just really slowly add a little bit of milk and blend as you go. You have to add it slowly because the cheese sauce can suddenly go from nice and thick to super liquidy, and then it's just not as delicious. But it's just really, really good. And so here's what it looks like. It does thicken up as it sits out at room temperature, so you might want to add a little bit more milk or heat to it. You could also put it like on the stove in a stock pot and heat it gently because it does start to set up a little bit. And then we added these delicious carnivore rolls, and they are basically egg, milk powder, butter, and I do think that they have baking powder, and I am certain baking powder can be an issue if you're healing some really intense issues. Maybe baking powder isn't so good. I don't know if those rolls would work really great without it, but we do plan to share a shorter, more targeted video for those, and maybe we'll just practice with them and see if we can make them without the baking powder, although they would probably be a lot more dense, but that might still be delicious. I don't know. We'll try it. But yeah, you can see how that cheese sauce now is, as it comes to room temperature, it's a lot thicker and it doesn't spread as well. We were just really hungry, so I did not care. It was still delicious. Okay, so moving on, our next meal is something new, and that's these pork ribs that we get at Costco. They're pretty cost effective. Pork in general is pretty cost effective. We don't particularly enjoy eating pork, but we do add it. So basically, what we're eating is pork, ground beef, burgers, and chicken thighs each week. And then we just try to serve them up in various ways so that it feels like we're getting variety. And again, there's that ketchup, that leftover. From the leftover tomato sauce that we still have in our pantry. And we just, Geoff made like a kind of, ketchup barbecue sauce to put on these. I know that's not carnivore, but I just don't want to throw all of our pantry items out. Here's some balsamic vinegar that I made last spring with some spruce tips that I really enjoy. When we used to eat salads, I would make dressings with that, but he added some of that to the sauce as well. And then these little cheese puff things are not carnivore. Those just very briefly are um, made with tapioca starch and cheese. It's like it is grain free, but again, Sophie wanted to bake a little bit, so she made those and we added those to the ribs. Now I'm just right here getting into the next night, and I will share this meal here. Okay, so this is the last meal that I'm going to share here. These are those carnivore buns from a couple of nights ago that I had shared, and we will do a recipe on those. And I guess I should have prefaced at the beginning of this that I mostly am just sharing our carnivore suppers because our carnivore breakfasts are all pretty much the same. We're eating a lot of pork belly because we cannot tolerate bacon. So we just get uncured pork belly, we bake it, we slice it, we just season it with some salt and then fry that with some eggs. And that's pretty much what we do every morning because it's easy, it's filling, it gets us going with our day quickly. And I can share maybe like a more targeted video on preparing that pork belly. And I actually prefer it to bacon because I just don't feel I don't feel that great whenever I do eat bacon. So yeah, basically just pork belly and eggs for breakfast. It's really nothing fancy. And then midday, we've started just eating like a cheeseburger or a chicken thigh. Sometimes we're not hungry, and sometimes we are. So we just have meat that's always in the refrigerator that's cooked in bulk that people can pull a chicken thigh out or something like that. So that's new for us. We're still learning all of that, like how to have food prepped for so many people and so many different ages. And then we went out to the garden. I had planted fall garlic and it's all coming up this year, which is the first year I've really had a good harvest of garlic. I planted it before we did carnivore and I just really didn't want it to go to waste. So we went out, we got some garlic scapes this night, and I also made paired some kombucha with this. So here's the meal, the cheeseburgers with those buns. I'm gonna put it together like a sandwich, and then we do still drink kombucha because we make it with herbs that we harvest and ferment or from around our acreage. I did do a video on that, obviously not carnivore, but I'll link it at the end of this video for anyone who might be interested. If you're full carnivore, or maybe you're kind of like omnivore or just mostly animal based, or mostly just like high meat. I think still eating a high meat diet with other things is still really good. So anyway, that's our final meal, these carnivore cheeseburgers with kombucha and the garlic scapes. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave me a comment with ideas or suggestions, or just let me know what you guys think so I can bring you guys some more great carnivore content. Thanks so much for joining us.